Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now, I'm so excited for today, I can't believe it. This is like, oh my god, it's like pandemonium for me, no pun intended, because she was in a movie called Pandemonium. I'll be interviewing Miss Yvonne herself, Lynne Marie Stewart. I can't believe it. I met her last weekend at the Toy Game and Pop Culture Expo in Carmichael, California, and I was so starstruck and so nervous, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, your childhood favorite, like right there in front of you. I mean, I've had many of them, but I watched her every Saturday morning on Pee-wee's Playhouse for years, and it was just so surreal for me. And I'm going to be interviewing her today. Oh, I can't believe it. Miss Yvonne, it's going to be so awesome. I got so much to ask her about her career. She's got such a long career in the entertainment industry. Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. By the way, before we start, I'd like to plug this weekend I'll be at Sinister Creature Con in Sacramento. It's one of the best horror cons in California, I think. And I'll be there hanging out and stuff. Come through. So many great people will be there. Michael Berryman, C. Thomas Howell, Lisa Wilcox, Barbara Manolfi, Brittany Daniel, Tom Matthews. Oh, that's going to be pretty cool. And so many others. Paul Servino, the legendary Paul Servino, will be there. So check it out, Sinister Creature Con in Sacramento this weekend at the Scottish Rite Center. So yeah, here is my interview with Lynne Marie Stewart.
Hello.
Hey Lynne, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Awesome. Oh, this is so great. And it's funny because I met you like a week ago, and like I said to you last night, I was so nervous and starstruck, because I just remember being, so young, 3, 4, 5 years old, watching you on Saturday mornings on Pee-wee's Playhouse. This is just so surreal for me.
Oh, great.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much here I want to cover. Now, did you always know that you were funny and you wanted to be in show business?
Well, I went to, my parents moved to Beverly Hills when I was really young, like in the first grade, mm-hmm. And we had been in Norwalk, California, and the school systems were totally different. I mean, the kids in Beverly Hills already knew letters and were reading, and in Norwalk we were like going to fire engines, looking at fire engines and making peanut butter. So I really didn't have a lot of knowledge going into the Beverly Hills school system because it's so advanced. But I could do voices, and I had expression in my voice and everything. And there was a school play where I played Christmas Joy, which was very similar to Miss Yvonne. I was kind of a hostess, and I introduced the spirit of Christmas from other lands to Santa Claus, and it was so much fun, mm-hmm. And I had wings, and everything, and so I thought, I'm so happy on stage. I'm having such a good time in this play, and then that's when I knew that I wanted to act, and I wanted to be on stage, and I wanted to entertain when I did that play, and also, it was an outlet for me because school was so hard, and it was a way of shining because I was having trouble with my reading and spelling, but I could act. I could make people laugh, and I could excel on stage. So that it was good for me as a little girl to have those kind of endorphins. So yes, I knew at a very young age that it was fun to entertain people.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like me. I grew up with Asperger Syndrome, and school was never easy for me, and I could do voices and just like make people laugh and stuff. I used to like dress up as characters around the house. Hell, I was even Pee-wee for Halloween when I was 4.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, my mom said the other day, she said, "Oh, we should have brought that picture to show her." You know?
Oh, of you as Pee-wee?
Yeah.
Well, we put it on Facebook.
Yeah, I think I actually might have it uploaded already. I'll
Okay,
check it out.
I'll look through your stuff to see it.
Okay. So you did theater at an early age.
Yes, and then when I was in high school, there was a park, Roxbury Park, near Beverly Hills High School, and they had improv. Mm-hmm. And so I started taking improvisational comedy at that park, and Richard Dreyfuss was there, and Rob Reiner, because there was a lot of celebrity kids that went to Beverly Hills High School. Yep. So it was so much fun, and it was great having improv at an early age because I was never afraid of it because I was like riding a bicycle. I just, hop on and would ride. Mm-hmm. So I'm very grateful that I have a background in improv because it scares a lot of actors, but it doesn't scare me because I was raised doing it.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever do musical theater?
No, I never did. I mean, sometimes as different characters, I sing in character, but I come from a family of non-singers, and I lack confidence in singing, and so that's something that I would like to pursue, just for fun, take singing lessons. So I'm going to do that this summer. Nice.
And your first movie, you played a cheerleader in the Jack Nicholson directed movie Drive, He Said.
Right, and I was a cheerleader at Beverly Hills High School. So, but I didn't have any lines or anything. I was just a cheerleader, and it was a movie about basketball. But Cindy Williams is my best friend, and she had a little part in the movie. So we went up to, I think it was filmed in Portland or Seattle. I don't know. I don't remember where it was filmed, but we went up there, and I had a good time.
Yeah, Cindy is like one of my favorite actresses of all time, and like on the top of like my wish list of interviews. I've emailed her like 4 times in the last year and stuff. I love her.
Yes, I do too.
Was Jack a good director?
Yeah, he was fun. Yeah, he was fun.
Nice.
I don't remember too much about the movie except that we were working on our cheers, and everybody seemed to, Bruce Dern was in it, and Karen Black, and it was a group of friends doing the movie, So I do remember seeing them and thinking, wow, they're all friends that are doing this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the Hollywood camaraderie, which in some circles still there, but it's mostly a thing of the past, I've noticed.
So that's I don't really remember too much about that movie except that I had a good time and I got to cheer, and so that was fun.
Nice. And then you were in one of my favorite movies of all time, American Graffiti.
Yes.
A cultural landmark of a movie. I actually got to meet Candy Clark and Bo Hopkins at a convention last year.
Great. I've done shows with them in Petaluma.
Oh, nice.
Every year they have a car show, and Candy and Bo and I go up there and spend a couple of days, and we signed autographs, and we've been doing it for so many years that there's a whole group of friends that we've made in Petaluma, so we get to hang with them. It's more of a vacation than it is about a money-making venture, because we go antiquing and go to see this beautiful plants up there. So we go to nurseries, and I just have a good time doing something different.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know some 80s movie actors, they do a similar thing in the Dominican Republic. They do like a I think it was like a week long, maybe a 2 week long, like beach retreat of like they're hanging out with like fans the whole weekend and like, you know, celebrating the 80s and stuff. And they,
oh, how much fun!
yeah, and they sign autographs and make money and all that, but it's mostly like a vacation, you know. So it's very similar. Yeah. Yeah, I love the movie, and you know, Roger Ebert said something very haunting about the movie that I just get chills down my spine when I think about it. He said, "The movie shows us exactly how far we've come since 1962, and in some cases, how dark and tragic the world has become." And he said that in 1973, and this was after JFK, Martin Luther King assassination, Watergate, women's lib. I mean, you know, there was nothing like that before 1962, and of course, you know, the world is a lot darker now. I mean,
Right.
it's just amazing, you know, that, you know, he brought that up in 1973.
Yes, that is amazing. That's a great quote. And the wonderful thing about American Graffiti is that it's so relatable for different generations. Like my dad said, he remembered that there was a place in Denver where the cars used to drag and people used to hang out, and people still in small towns have that kind of life of meeting friends and going to raceways and going to races, and it has a real small town friendly quality to the movie, and it's very relatable to so many people. That's why it's lasted so long.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, it was such an experimental film, you know, for the time, and a big studio like Universal making it, you know.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about the movie is when Harrison Ford and Paul Le Mat threw Richard Dreyfuss off the balcony into the swimming pool.
Right, I heard that too.
Yeah, you weren't there to confirm that happened.
No, I wasn't at the hotel. I stayed at a apartment in Berkeley because I wasn't one of the main actors. I was hired as a San Francisco actress, even though I'm from LA. I drove up there because I really wanted to be in the movie. So my manager at the time said, "Oh, I've got some sad news for you because I was already cast in the part. They're for the smaller parts. They're using San Francisco actresses." And I said, "Well, then I'll drive up and I will, be a San Francisco actress because I really wanted to do this." So I stayed. Luckily, I had a place to stay in Berkeley. I stayed for a month and ended up, just working a night.
Mm-hmm.
But I could, I had a car, and because I wasn't paying for a hotel, I was able to afford it, and I was able to do the movie. And from that, I've gotten to go to Canada and all over the country to do autograph shows at car shows with Candy and Bo and Cindy when she's available. But Cindy's super, super busy. She's always doing regional theater, and she's very hard to get a hold of.
Yeah. Like I said, I've emailed her 4 times. I can tell she's pretty difficult to get in touch with.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she's in that musical Menopause.
Yes, Menopause the musical, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, they came down to the Bay Area, and luckily I found out she wasn't going to be in those particular performances, so I didn't get to waste my money. But if she had been, I would have been there in a heartbeat, I'll tell you.
Right.
And you did several episodes of Laverne and Shirley, which is my favorite sitcom of all time.
Oh, great. Yes, I did. They would have me back every season, and I'd have a different wig and play a different character. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the drunken sailor one is my favorite.
Oh, yes, with Ed Begley Jr.
Yep, and Dennis Haysbert, who went to school with my mom.
Wow.
Yep, the classic episode. It's also a sad one too, because it's about alcoholism.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had David Lander on the show, and Carolina White and Tracy Reiner, and I've told them all this. There's a line that Penny says in an episode. I've been saying it for 20 years, and it always gets a laugh. They did this episode where they go to a weight loss clinic, and Susan Kellerman is playing this like really sadistic weight loss instructor, and they're like hiding food under their shirts. And she says to Penny, is that food or is that a largely oversized belly button? And Penny says, well, I have been blessed with an Audi.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yep. I've been saying that line for 20 years. It always gets a laugh. Can you confirm that Penny has an Audi?
No, I can't.
I was gonna ask Tracy that, but then I thought, nah, that might be weird. I can confirm though, I do have one.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yep. And you also did voices for the cartoon, right?
I'm sorry?
You also did voices for the cartoon, right?
I did. Cindy got too busy, so I went to Hanna-Barbera and auditioned for her to replace her in the cartoon series, and I got it, and it had a lot to do with me just being around her. Mm-hmm. So because she's not somebody that people mimic. You know, she's not like Marilyn Monroe or Katharine Hepburn. She doesn't have that distinguishable a voice. But I could do her cadence. So I got the part to replace her, and I did the cartoon show until it ended.
Yeah, when you're around somebody for a long time, you can imitate them after a while. I've certainly found that out.
Right. You just pick up their cadence, and so that happens to me when I'm around somebody. If I'm around people from the Midwest, I start talking like I'm from the Midwest. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You were on a short-lived sitcom called Husbands, Wives, and Lovers?
Right. That was the first series that I ever did. I was 28 when I did that.
Wow. And, Joan Rivers created it.
Could you hold for just a second?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, it's okay. So Joan Rivers created it?
Yes, Joan Rivers created it.
And Cynthia Harris, who later went on to do Mad About You, was on it.
Right. Cynthia Harris was on it.
And also, too, Randy Heller.
Oh, yes, she was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she played Ralph Macchio's mother in the Karate Kid movies.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Why do you think that show didn't last very long?
Well, I think it was about quite a few. It was about 5 couples, and it was an hour show. And I think it was, even though it was funny and it was getting better, it was confusing, because there was a lot of too much going on, following 5 couples in an hour. And but now they do it much better. I mean, there's shows that have very large casts. But I think that's what happened, is that there was just too many people and too much going on, and it was hard to follow. But it had great people on it, and it was a real learning experience for me, because it was one of my first professional jobs and my first series.
Nice. So when did you get to the Groundlings?
I got into the Groundlings in the mid-'70s, and before that I was in a workshop, Harvey Lembeck's comedy workshop, and that had great people in it. I mean, John Ritter was in it, Carolia White, who you interviewed, a lot of people from MASH, and people from Laverne and Shirley. I mean, it had working actors in it. They were working at the time, and Robin Williams was in it, and so it was a spectacular. It was a spectacular group, and then I went over to the Groundlings, and was in the Groundlings for about 3 or 4 years, and they weren't opening yet. And I had a chance to be in a group who were doing shows called Funny You Should Ask. So I was at Funny You Should Ask for 3 years, and then the Groundlings. Then Paul called me, and Paul Rubens, and said, I'm doing a late night show at the Groundlings. Do you want to be in it? And I love the character of Pee Wee Herman. And he said, do you want to? I'm getting a group of friends together, and we're going to do a show. So I said, yeah, I'd love to be in it.
Wow. And who was at the Groundlings when you were there?
Phil Hartman was there, Edie McClurg, and of course Paul Rubens. Later on, during just a sec, I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
John Lovitz.
Wow.
Was there. So there was some, and Lorraine Newman, but she was only there for a very short time because she got whisked away to a Saturday Night Live. But I got to see her perform like twice before she left, and so it was an incredible group of people, and then years later, I did a show at the Groundlings called Beverly Winwood Presents the Actors Showcase, and that had people like Melissa McCarthy was in it,
right.
Tim Bagley, who's on Teachers now, and Paul Lamar, who played my partner in the Pee Wee show on Broadway, played Cowboy Curtis. So, yes, the Groundlings is pretty remarkable about so many stars came out of there. And besides acting stars, people who wrote and got Emmys, like my friend Tracy Newman, wrote the coming out episode of Ellen and got an Emmy for it.
Wow.
And so it's pretty incredible place for actors and writers and producers.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Were you there at the same time as Cynthia Zaghetti?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was at, and then she left and went on to be a teacher and a director. And before she passed, I would guess the last year or year and a half, we would all meet at Cantor's, which is a restaurant on
Yep.
Fairfax, a deli, every Thursday afternoon, and just be with her because she was not well enough to have people over all the time. So we all got together on Thursdays and had lunch together for the last year and a half of her life.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I thought she was a very underrated and very funny lady in some of the things I saw her in.
Yes, she was an incredible teacher and director. Very, very beloved. I mean, hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of people studied with her, were directed by her over the years, and they all loved her very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you all had a tremendous influence on my generation of comics because you guys were so irreverent and, post-counterculture like Second City and National Lampoon was at the time.
Right.
I heard a story once about how Doug Cox had written like this sketch about Easter, and it got a lot of hate from the audience.
Right. He had done the Christmas spectacular, and it was very well received. And then he did the Easter spectacular, and he had a joke like you could get a rusty nail at the bar, and people didn't laugh. People were uncomfortable. And Phil Hartman put his arm around Doug and said, "You can say what you want about Christmas, and then he said, but don't fuck with the resurrection." So Doug never did the Easter spectacular again.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. It's so true too.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God. So when Paul Rubens developed the Pee Wee Herman show, how was Miss Yvonne conceived?
Well, he wanted her to be like a prom queen. He wanted her to have, big hair and look like a prom queen. So I went out and got dresses and would bring them in for him to take a look at. And then there was this white dress. There was a store called Aardvark on Melrose, a couple blocks away from the theater, and it was like a white dress. It kind of looked like Liz Taylor's white dress from Raintree County. It was sleeveless, and it was and a full skirt. Of course, it wasn't pristine like Liz Taylor's dress. It looked like it had been trampled on a little bit because it was a secondhand store. But he liked it. He liked the dress, and it was so I wore that dress on the original Pee Wee Herman show. It was at the Groundlings first, and then it moved over to the Roxy, and then they filmed it for HBO.
Yeah, I don't think that the Roxy Theater even does comedy specials anymore. Taped there. I think the last one was Sam Kinison about 5 or 6 years after you guys.
Yeah, it was thrilling to be at the Roxy, doing the Pee Wee Herman show because it was so cutting edge, and it was a very hot ticket in LA. So it was very fun to be part of it.
Absolutely. Lou Adler owned it. It was a hot venue, and it still is for, rock music and everything.
Right.
I love that special. I think it's one of the best HBO specials of all time. I still have the VHS of when we taped it. We taped it off of our San Francisco affiliate on the Fox network in 1987. My parents thought it was going to be like Pee-wee's Playhouse, and then we hear all these sexual innuendos and double entendres. But my parents let me watch it anyways because it wasn't that harmful, you know?
Right, right.
And they cut out some of the best scenes, like Mr. Bungle, but they kept in your line, "Call me Miss Bungle," and I didn't know what that meant until like maybe 7 years later when I saw the full version.
What does it mean?
Well, I didn't because they cut out Mr. Bungle. I didn't know what she was referencing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I still don't know what it means. It's still attributed to that short film, and even an alternative rock band was called Mr. Bungle back in the early 90s.
Oh, I see. So they cut out the short about Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, they cut that out, but they kept in your line, and I never knew what it meant until 7 years later when I finally saw the full version. Yeah, I mean, I still know every line, and I quote it, you know, "Miss Yvonne, may I like you?"
Yeah, it was great working with Phil Hartman because we were close friends, and I loved working with him, and I loved writing with him.
Yeah, I've interviewed quite a few people who knew him and worked with him, and they just say what a lovely man he was.
Yes, he was.
It's just so sad about how that ended. I was pretty sad about it too when I heard about it. I love your entrance when you do the ballet number and you hand Pee-wee that puppet that looks ironically like a Tim Burton creation.
Right, it does.
Yeah.
And the puppet's name was Capucine, and I just liked the name Capucine, and Paul said, "Okay, you can call the puppet Capucine."
Papucine. Yeah, and then later you pull hairspray out of your cleavage.
Yeah, that was an idea. That was Aquanet, and that was John Paragon's idea. He said, "Why don't you pull hairspray out of your bodice?" And so I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It worked really well. And of course, Paul had you, play roles in other Pee-wee stuff, like the frustrated actress in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Right.
Yeah, that's so funny. Although I hate seeing you play a bitch, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
Jason Hervey, before he was on The Wonder Years.
Yes, and I had done commercials with him and auditioned with him, so we knew each other, so that was fun to work with him.
Mm-hmm. I had Diane Salinger on the show, and she said that when Paul was casting for Pee-wee's Big Holiday, he didn't want to cast anybody from all the other Pee-wee stuff, but then he ended up casting her, you, and John Moody.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
And then you played the bearded lady in Big Top Pee-wee.
Right. That was really fun because we had like I had like a month and a half on that show, and there was real circus people there, and Mishu, who has since passed, was I got to hang out with Mishu, who was really a lot of fun.
Nice. Was that beard itchy?
Yes, it got itchy as the day went on.
Oh my God. My friend Stephanie Hodge played the Mermaid.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a very funny stand-up comedian. I've had her on the show.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she said that Paul personally asked her to play it. She briefly owned a comedy club in Ohio years before, and Paul played there a couple of times, and she was very flattered when he picked up the phone and asked her to play that character.
I bet.
Yeah. So are you astounded at how much of a pop culture impact Pee-wee's Playhouse has had?
Am I? Well, I remember at the Roxy when Paul came out and he was like throwing Tootsie Rolls at the audience. There was a little balcony, and it was just like room enough for one person, and I would step on it and watch that part of the show where he was throwing Tootsie Rolls. And I remember the moment, the audience was going crazy. Even if they got hit in the head with a Tootsie Roll, they were still yelling and screaming. I said, wow, this is bigger. This is bigger than any of us thought. And I was right. Just from the audience reaction at the Roxy, I knew that it was going to have a tremendous impact on pop culture. And I went to Japan, and they had shows similar to Pee Wee Herman on TV, where it was like really bright colors, and a lot of jump cuts and everything. And I thought, this has influenced children's program all around the world.
Yeah.
Or at least Japan, because it certainly was reminiscent of Pee-wee.
Absolutely, I mean, the Japanese, they love entertainment. I mean, look, they've had Disneyland for 30 plus years,
Right.
And stuff. You played a receptionist in one of Natalie Wood's last movies, The Last Married Couple in America.
The Last Married Couple in America. I'm sorry, I don't remember that. I'm sure I did. It must have been a small part because I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was like a tiny receptionist part. I was gonna ask if you had any interaction with Natalie Wood, because she's another favorite actress of mine. But yeah,
I didn't. I don't remember working with her, but I remember meeting her in Beverly Hills when I was a teenager, and she was so sweet and beautiful. It was just a bunch of teenage girls coming up to her and, yelling and screaming, and she couldn't have been nicer or more loving, or she signed our autographs, and she was just a sweetheart.
Oh, that's great. I love stories like that about celebrity encounters and stuff.
Yeah.
This one movie you did, Weekend Pass.
Yes.
Yeah, you play the stereotypical Jewish female comedian on stage. And
right, that's a character that I used to do called Sookie Lane, and she does stand up. I don't do stand up, but I do stand up as her.
Did you ever try stand up?
No, just characters. Just characters that do stand up. I've never done stand up as myself.
I see.
Oh, wait a second. I've done spoken word where I've told funny stories, but not, not, hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've never, done that stand up as myself, but I've done so many things that are so close to it that I guess I could say yes.
Yeah, Carol told me she tried stand-up one time at the Comedy Store because Mitzi Shore was a big fan of sketch comedy, and she was always trying to get sketch comedians to try stand-up, and she said it was a absolute disaster for her that she never wanted to try it again because it's so hard.
Well, yes. I mean, when I did that character, Sookie Lane, I would wake up in the middle of the night and try and rework jokes, and then I thought, oh wow, this is what stand-up comedians in real life do. They're always trying to make the joke funnier.
Absolutely. I've been doing it 12 years, and it's gotten easier for me in recent years ever since I had my accident, and I've had things to draw from and stuff, but it was pretty difficult in the early years, but I've always been comfortable on stage.
Oh, that's great. I'm sorry you had an accident.
Yeah, about 3 years ago, I had a pretty bad car accident. I spent 30 days in a coma.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But, I lived through it, and my perspective on life has changed, and now I'm pursuing what I love.
Yes, that's good.
And I can't drink anymore. My liver was damaged and everything from all the drinking I did. But, I feel great.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It was a very uplifting experience. Despite all the pain and everything I suffered, it was great in the long run. You're in the classic Arnold movie, The Running Man.
Yes.
Wow, what was that like?
That was a great experience. Edith Wiggins, I think, was my name, and I worked with Bobby Dawson,
Right.
and it was a game show, and I was sitting next to these extras, and if an extra touches you or hugs you, they get bumped up.
Yep.
So everybody wanted to hug and touch me, and then when they called my name, I was like hugging everybody, and then I came down, and the director said, "Lynn, you've got to get down here faster." So I had to cut out hugging up the extras because I had to keep the movie rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. What's his name? Paul Michael Glazier directed from Starsky and Hutch. Did you know him before?
No, but he was a really good director.
Yeah, he does like action-oriented movies and stuff. Did you have any interaction with Arnold?
No, I didn't get to work with him. I've met him before, but I didn't meet him on that movie.
Wow. Yeah, it's got such a strange supporting cast. You got Mick Fleetwood and Dweezil Zappa in that movie. It's pretty funny, and it was like one of those departure stories for Stephen King. It's a action sci-fi movie. I love when you're the bartender in Elvira's movie. And you guys do that Virgin line exchange?
Right.
Yeah, that's a great line. I love that. I almost met Cassandra a couple times at horror cons, but her line is always out the door.
Right.
And stuff. My ex-girlfriend, she was actually an extra on her second movie, and she loved meeting her and stuff. She said she was really, really nice.
She is. She does a lot of work for charity. During the AIDS epidemic, she was doing charity events all the time and worked very, very hard to raise money to stop and fight AIDS. And she does a lot of charity work and doesn't make a big deal out of it. She just does it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing to do,
Yeah.
And then let's see, you did a short-lived series with most of the Groundlings called On the Television.
Yes, that was conceived by George McGrath, who did a lot of stuff on the Pee Wee Show. He was a writer. He was a puppeteer. He did the voice of Globey, the voice of the flowers, the voice of the fish, and he was just like a Renaissance man on the show. He did everything. And he was Izzy Beluga, if you saw that episode where he had a giant blue head. Or maybe it wasn't blue, maybe it was green. But he added a lot to the Pee Wee Show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I vaguely remember this show, but I was struck by how many Groundlings were in this show, and I was like, wow. I mean, how come it didn't last?
Oh yeah, I don't know why it didn't last, but George made he pulled from the Groundlings because he was a Groundling, and that's the people he knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was on Nick at Night, and like even Kathy Griffin was on the show.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I never seen her do sketch and everything. I mean, was she good at it?
Yes, she was. She was very talented at sketch comedy, and such a hard worker. I ran into her after the Groundlings when she was doing stand up. She did stand up at the Laugh Factory, and right next to the Laugh Factory is a delicatessen and called Greenblatt's, and I ran into her and her then husband at the time, and I said, "Wow, she's so prolific." And she had done like 2 hours at the Laugh Factory, and he said, "Oh, she's got six more hours of current material." And I thought, "Wow!" I mean, she's a workhorse. I mean, she's incredibly funny, incredibly observant, and she works very, very hard at her craft.
Yeah, I noticed like all the specials she's done. She's starting to get close to like the amount of specials that George Carlin did on HBO back in the day.
Right.
He did about 14 of those, and that's where she's like headed, like almost 14. You know, it's crazy. And Tress MacNeille was on there, and Getty Watanabe, who I saw you and him have a picture last week on Facebook.
Yes.
I love him. He's so funny.
I think so too.
Is he a Groundling?
No, he's not. He's not a Groundling. He just I just knew him through mutual friends.
Mm-hmm. And you got to work with him on the show, of course. On the television.
Oh no, I never worked directly with him on the show. I've done industrials with him, though. I have worked with him, and he's really fun and easy to work with.
Mm-hmm. He seems like it. You did an episode of Dream On where you were Dr. Esther.
Right. I was doing like Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
Yeah.
And her voice, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, that was like one of the last episodes too, and I used to watch Dream On all the time, like late at night. I used to like, it was like one of those shows that like I would sneak on when everybody was asleep and stuff. I love that show. It really like opened the door for Sex and the City on HBO.
Oh wow, I think so too. I didn't even realize that, but you're right.
Yeah, because this show, had the male perspective. And then Sex and the City had the female one, and that show just, changed HBO. It blew it up, and then The Sopranos came out, and just, it became kind of this, like, art house TV series, station.
I love The Sopranos. I used to watch it every week.
Yeah, I was just really struck when James Gandolfini passed.
Yes, I was too.
He was a brilliant actor, and I'm sure he did plenty of roles, before The Sopranos, but, I think that he had a lot more work in him,
I do too.
That was a real sad tragedy and stuff. And then finally, you had a recurring role on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought in a million years that Danny DeVito would return to television.
Yeah, he's having the time of his life. he loves that part, and he's just great at it.
Yeah, it's at the point now where if you're an established movie actor and you turn to television, it's considered normal. But back in the day, it wasn't considered normal.
Right.
I mean, there was some rare exceptions like James Garner and Tom Selleck and Michael J. Fox. I mean, they seemed to transition well into movies while they were on television.
Hmm.
But now, like, everyone's doing it. Like a couple of years ago when Jennifer Lopez and Ray Liotta had that series on NBC, I was like, really? Oh my God, because they're movie stars.
Right, they're movie stars.
Crazy. But you like the part on the show, right?
I do. I mean, she started off as like this really innocent Catholic mother, and then like 2 episodes down, and then she started like sleeping with Santa Claus to get presents for her son for Christmas. So she's like all over the place, And I remember when I first started doing her, I said, "Where's her husband? Who's Charlie's father?" And they were like, "We don't know yet. We don't know." So it probably was Danny DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's inferred that I slept with Danny DeVito, and that's how come Charlie was born. But it was interesting to play a part that changes all the time, because she changed, like I said, from somebody who's very innocent to someone who just, is very sexually active.
Yeah. That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming projects that you want to plug?
No. I just did. I don't know when it's going to be on, but we just did it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Sandy Martin and I did it for the new season, and it's a episode of all the women characters on an airplane, and they have a drinking contest. But I don't know when that's going to. I don't know when that's going to come out in the new season. And I have a commercial for the Dish Network, which is running and then I have another commercial that's going to be coming out for LG for their telephones. So I'm really happy because I have not been working in commercials in a long time, and to get 2 nationals in a row, I'm absolutely thrilled.
Nice. I heard actors don't really get paid much like they used to when they do commercials now.
It's not as much as it used to be, but still to get a national commercial, you can get good money. You can get thousands of dollars from doing a national. But if you just do a regional commercial or commercial for the internet, it isn't as much money. It's just not as much money as it used to be for regional commercials. And years ago there was no internet, so it's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, hopefully they'll fix that problem eventually when they figure it out. Everywhere you go on certain websites, there's all these pop-up ads that are really annoying.
Oh yes, and there's ads in between. If you're interested in a post, all of a sudden the post a video stops, and then there's an ad in the middle of it, and it didn't used to be that. Yeah, there's ads all over the place, and I have liked a lipstick just saying, "Oh, that's a pretty color," and then every place I go to, that lipstick will follow me around, and there'll be an ad for that lipstick, hoping that I'll break down and buy that lipstick. So it's you have to really be careful what you like on Facebook, because if you like a product, then you're just inundated with that product.
Yeah. Like I'll go on YouTube to watch a video, and then this ad will pop up, and sometimes they don't even give me the option to skip it, and I'm just like, oh God, why do I have to see this? So I just mute it until it's over.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. I know. Yes, sometimes they don't give you the option to mute it, to skip it, or you have to wait. you'll be able to skip this in 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would with these videos that I put on YouTube, I would never like do the pop-up ad thing for people because I don't want to piss them off,
Right.
Oh my God, Lynn, you are a national treasure, and I love the fact that you were so sweet to me last weekend. I'll always cherish that Missy Vaughn toy you gave me.
Oh, I'm glad.
And I thank you so much for taking the time to talk finally, and I'll talk to you again, and I love you, and God bless.
Right back at you, and thank you for coming, because you drove for hours. Didn't you drive for 3 hours or something?
Oh yeah, 3 hours.
That's amazing, and thank you for doing that. And it was so great to meet your lovely, beautiful mom. I'm so happy that you have such a wonderful mama. My mama passed away a year and a half ago, and she reminded me of my mama, that she would just, okay, let's go. Let's just do it. We used to take road trips together, and we both we used to fly to Gregory Hines was in Las Vegas, and we used to fly out to see him. So I had a fun, adventurous mom too.
How old was she when she passed?
2 days short of 95. So she had a long, wonderful life.
Wow, 95. So thank you so much, Lynn, and you have yourself a good day and a good night as well.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye, Tommy.
Bye-bye, Lynn. Well, there you have it. Lynne Marie Stewart. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Lynn. That was a really nice, fun interview. I've always wanted to interview you, and I finally got to. And this will be one that I'll definitely archive. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and follow me on Instagram. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.